Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to be providing a general market update on Ethereum, especially since we are now wrapping up 2021. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. We are having a holiday sale on the premium list. If you would like to sign up for that, you can find a link to that in the description below, or just go to intothecryptoverse.com and you can lock in the lower rate. That will run through the end of the year. So now would be a good time to sign up if you have in fact been waiting to do so. Let's go ahead and jump in. So where is Ethereum? We talked a few days ago about ideally we'd like to hold the bull market support band. Of course, there are no guarantees, especially with Bitcoin below its own bull market support band. But at least in the short term, Ethereum is holding it. And again, the bull market support band, which again is a combination of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, for Ethereum is now trading between 37.33 up to 38.29 or so. So we are still holding above that, which I think is relatively bullish, especially considering the Bitcoin is in fact still below its bull market support band. Now, we've also looked at some of these longer term trends and the idea that that basically Ethereum is in this sort of macro uptrend, right? If I fit it here to the weekly candles, you can more or less see like what I'm talking about. Generally speaking, we are in a macro uptrend. And you could even argue that we are riding that uptrend right now. Now, I am not one that thinks that we have to stay on that line forever. As you guys know, if you go back to a prior market cycle, in fact, there were plenty of times where we were riding that uptrend for a while, and then we sort of just broke it for a while. Okay, we went up, and then we went sideways, and then we just started a new run, and then we went sideways, and then we started a new run. And what you notice is that every time that Ethereum went sideways, 1 and 2, that was not the market cycle peak, right? I mean, there was volatility, and certainly Ethereum bled significantly against the US dollar at various times. This was a 70% drop against the US dollar. This was a 70% drop almost against the US dollar, but it still did not usher in the market cycle top. And so when you look at this, you say market cycle tops look more like something like that, where you do have a blow off phase, and then it ultimately does come back down. Now, there's no guarantees that we have to have that, but at least the evidence would suggest that a sideways movement in the market like this would indicate that there should be still a long ways to go. And that going sideways for a while is just simply market participants getting accustomed, getting used to the new normal. So it's just a lot of sideways action between $2,000 to $4,000. Okay, similar to back over here, Ethereum went sideways between $6 to $12 or so, maybe around $15 maybe. And then over here, it was 146 up to about $400. So maybe $150 to $400 back in 2017. And then now we just have another sideways period between 2 and 4K, more or less. So we've been to the bottom of the range a couple times here, more than a few times, several times back over here. We've been to the top of the range a few times. And look, I mean, there's going to be some more volatility, but I would argue that eventually Ethereum is likely to break it out to the upside, even if there is more short-term volatility to the downside, which of course will be completely dependent on what Bitcoin does to some degree. Now, Bitcoin has been underperforming a lot of the asset class as of recently, which is, I guess it's more or less what we've been seeing for the last several weeks. But again, if Bitcoin were to go to like 42K or 40K, we would very likely see other cryptocurrencies going back down. But I think it's always important to check in on the Ether Bitcoin valuation. And as we noted last time, we are in fact at a level that we faced some resistance at last time. Now, I do not think this is going to be a major top for Ethereum's valuation against Bitcoin. I do fully expect it to make a surge higher and potentially even in Q1. Normally, I would be more optimistic about Ethereum going into Q1 because normally it bleeds against Bitcoin in Q4. Hasn't done that this Q4. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's not really changing what I'm doing with Ethereum. Of course, I have an Ethereum stack, and I'm excited to see where it takes us. But this 0.085 level did provide some resistance for a little while back over here. But eventually, I do, in fact, think we will hold it. If we look at the time between when we fell below it to when we tested out of support, it was about 77 days or so. Now, if we were to assume we're going to basically play out the same exact way, but going to the upside, then we'd be looking for a potential breakout in mid-February that might take us, in fact, to the 0.1 area. So still potentially occurring in Q1 of 2022, but I do not think that even that would be the market cycle top. So the general direction, I believe, for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation remains up. Of course, there will always be short-term volatility to the downside. We've seen it happen many times, like here, and all these various times where we saw Ethereum temporarily bleed against Bitcoin, but it doesn't change the fact that the general direction is up. And that is what is important. That is what you should be focusing on, not day trading micro moves in the market. I think that's not a very smart thing to do. Focus on the macro scale. On the macro scale, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is trending up higher. On the macro scale, the Ethereum valuation against the US dollar is in an accumulation range. And you could in fact even argue that it's in sort of like an uptrend here, even in the short term, and that we are slowly coming to a crescendo, and which hopefully we break to the upside. Okay, I mean, for me, the worst case scenario would be a break back down here, but even then I think we would still come back up and break higher. So I'm still relatively bullish on Ethereum. I think there's a lot of good things coming for it. Ether USD looks good. Ether Bitcoin looks good. We are facing some local resistance on the Ether Bitcoin valuation that we also saw back in 2018. Remember, we do have the premium list holiday sale. We'll run that for about a week or so. So go ahead and lock in the low rate. You'll get access to weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, trading view indicators, and more. We have a whole lot there. You can always just sign up for 1 month. If it's not your thing, you can cancel. If it is your thing, you can keep going, and you can lock in the lower rate. So make sure you check it out into thecryptoverse.com. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.